Alright everyone, hello. And now today, in honor of my buying myself a new ring of garnet and rose gold, today I thought I'd talk a little bit about how you can use your jewelry, your everyday metalware, as part of your wards, protections, spell work, anything you could think of. Hi B! We starting this again, B? What do you mean? What do you mean and nasty? What do you mean? Because truth be told, right, if we can do magic with pretty much anything we can think of, food, flowers, rocks and twigs, anything else, then I mean, geez, wouldn't it make sense for all of us crystal girlies to be actively incorporating the crystals into our jewelry? I don't know about y'all, but I've really never been a fan of like the kind of more new age aesthetic of jewelry where it's literally just like a tumbled crystal hanging from some like old beach fishing twine or something. No, I don't like that. I like the really cool, ornate, lovely types of jewelry, and that is what I end up getting a lot of the times. If I'm gonna get anything more folksy, it's gonna be something more like this old school, bee pendant, some kind of pendant still made of metal, but not whatever like hippie boho stuff you're gonna find at any of those very overly incensed stores at the mall. And listen, don't mistake me, okay? If that is your aesthetic, by all means, like, live your life. I hate it. That's all there is to it. I just don't like it. So, if you're someone who likes to buy the nice jewelry, you like to have your rings full of all different kinds of gems, then you probably already know that, like, one of the most boring stones a witch can have is a diamond, right? And when we think about buying jewelry, regardless of, what gender we are, because men and non-binary folks absolutely can and should be wearing jewelry as well, in my opinion. I love when people just have, like, hands full of rings. I think it looks cool. Those big, thick, like, mafia looking, I love it. I don't know. But, right, with all the different types of metals and all the different types of gemstones, there's a lot we can do magically. And while we might already have a lot of ideas as to what we can do with gemstones, because, right, we know that things like amethyst are all about peace and wisdom and clarity, whereas things like carnelian are all about power and courage and confidence, there's actually more we can do, and that is directly resolved in the metals. It's for this that we actually have to take a little bit of a trip into alchemy. And so, without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about the actual metals first, and then we can get a little bit more into the gemstones. So in alchemy, there's actually these 7 alchemical metals, and those are things like lead, tin, mercury, gold, silver, copper, and iron, right? And each of these metals, they kind of represent like different stages of the process of enlightenment, I guess, right? So like you kind of hop your way up each stage. Think of like if you've ever played Skyrim and you have that alteration spell, that's like literally based off of alchemy, the idea of turning iron into silver and then silver into gold, and then just like, there you go, now you have gold ore to do whatever you want with. Same kind of thing applies here, right? We all heard the age-old story of alchemists trying to turn wood into gold. It all comes with this idea that gold is the pinnacle of like the just symbol of enlightenment, right? Gold is ruled by the sun. Gold is represented by that fiery power, that brightness, that lordliness over all things. And so, of course, the sun itself has always been this figure of worship, right? Because it brings life, and it brings light, and it has all these things that without it, we would just not have, right? No plants, no animals, no nothing. That's why there are so many sun gods across so many different cultures. And it also represents, right, that total spiritual enlightenment, that peace, that golden halo, so to speak. On the other hand, as you might intuit, silver is the opposite. Silver is the moon. And while it's not like evil or anything, right, like it doesn't have that spiritual enlightenment opposite, what it does do is focus more on chastity, purity, right, on modesty and humility and all of these other really gentle qualities, because silver and the moon are all about that intuition, that emotion, that contemplation, right? That mystery of the night. Element-wise, silver was also thought to be a combo of air and water, which is really interesting, whereas gold is the perfect balance of all 4 elements. So if you're someone who likes gold, there's a lot that can be done with gold, right? Like in terms of that power, that fieriness. Think of the sign Leo, right? Think of like just all of the sun iconography in the world and all the different gods associated with the sun, how they are these bright and shining forces of optimism and courage and just shining luck. There's a lot you can pull out of gold. Whereas if you are someone who likes silver more, silver is definitely more for kind of keeping yourself disciplined, under control, also giving yourself time to explore, you know, the darker aspects of life, of yourself, getting more in touch with yourself, right? So there's still luck to be had with the moon, but just like the moon wanes and waxes, it's the kind of luck that can wane and wax, right? It's that Wheel of Fortune type of luck. And now here's what's interesting about, you know, rose gold. Rose gold is actually gold that has copper in it. And copper, as one of the 7 alchemical metals, is really interesting because it's associated with Venus, of all things. This was probably to do with the fact that the Romans called it cyprium, because it was very easily found on Cyprus, and Cyprus has a pretty solid Aphrodite foundation, so it became linked with Aphrodite really quickly and has all these things to do now with, like, Venus, right, with love and romance and beauty and that kind of power in relationships. Even more interesting, though, is that in alchemy, this metal here is thought to be a combination of fire and water, which means actually it's pretty good at harmonizing things, right? So if you're someone who really wants to get better at holding things in tension and kind of following that, as the Episcopalian Church would call it, the via media, right? Where the middle path where we can combine multiple ideas of thought, rose gold can help a lot. Rose gold lets us see that multiple things can be true at once, and that we don't have to make it an either-or situation. We can make it a both-and situation. We can make it a yes-but situation, right? Like, there are so many different answers than either-or. And rose gold helps us see that. What are you doing, Broom? Broom! Oh no! That's my little boy. Murder man, murder man, murder man, murder man, murder man. Now, of course, there are other metals that you can make jewelry out of. I mean, there are rings made out of tin or even iron. Tin being associated with Jupiter and all about that luck, that grace, that resistance to corruption and all things that are bad for the soul in the world. Meanwhile, iron has to do with Mars and is a really good metal for just kind of getting your war face on, for, you know, protection, for ambition and power, all the things that Mars, say, in astrology would represent, right? All of that drive you can get in something made of iron. And if you're into those more, you know, rustic, old school looking pieces of jewelry, iron might be your thing. Obviously, those last two metals, mercury and lead, I don't recommend wearing. Even if they're cool, right, and they've got their own associations, don't put that on your skin. Don't come in contact with those. Nope. Don't do that. Your options are kind of limited to, like, you know, the metals we just talked about, gold, silver, copper, rose gold, tin, iron, even steel, which is just an alloy of iron, right? Like, it's iron and carbon kind of put together. These are all great choices. All fantastic metals for jewelry, definitely good. I would watch out for things like nickel, because a lot of people have nickel allergies that they just don't even know about. But if you're going to get some kind of metal, make sure it's like a nice quality one, right? And a lot of times, I mean, yeah, when you see the prices of rings, you might be a little taken aback because some of them are hundreds of dollars. That's because they are like pure 14 karat gold. Most of the times, and this ring included, usually what just happens is you get them for a normal price, like maybe $60, because they just kind of plate a piece of silver with a bit of gold. And while that sounds like, oh no, but now the quality's not as high, first of all, that means you can get a little bit of silver in here anyway, just hidden under the surface, which is very moon coated, by the way. But also it makes it sturdier, because gold is a very soft metal, and that's why people will go for 14 karat, which is like more, has more impurities in it. 18 karat gold will bend really easily because it's such a soft metal. And if you want, like, the benefits of gold, but you're more of a silver person, like your skin tone works better with silver and stuff, by all means, get yourself some white gold. White gold is beautiful and just looks, it looks like an elven version of silver, in my opinion. But if you are ever to enchant a piece of jewelry, right, you can think about that metal's associations in that enchantment, and it's going to make it just that much more intense than if you were just working on the stone alone. Now, of course, when it comes to crystals themselves, there are a lot of different resources you can use to figure out what's what. I have the Pocketbook of Stones, which is honestly a really good book in my opinion. It's a little new agey, right? You know, talking about chakras, talking about like the actual physical healing effects, which is kind of like, I don't know how much I believe in like a stone's ability to physically heal. I do think they have spiritual healing powers, but that's another story. Nonetheless, things like these are really good guidebooks, right? Because as I said in the beginning, the most boring stone you can get for a witch is a diamond. Why? Because a diamond is just a really expensive energy magnifier. You know what else magnifies energy? Clear quartz, selenite, anything else, right? Clear stones like that are amazing for basically acting like a magnifying glass with a sunbeam, right? Like, you know how you heard those stories of kids like burning ants with a magnifying glass because the light comes down and laser focuses through the glass? The same kind of thing happens with your magic and with quartz and diamonds and other clear stones like that. If you want a diamond, like, knock yourself out. They're beautiful, they sparkle really nice. Try to get lab-grown diamonds so that we're not contributing to the horrors that are diamond mining, right? There's nothing wrong with having a diamond, it's just that all it really is a focusing tool. You know, like it's just a director. There are other stones that have other meanings. Like, for instance, right, garnet, which I'm imagining based on the pictures that this is a rhodolite garnet. This has to do with emotional healing, self-worth, walking a spiritual path, right? Its element is earth. It soothes and heals the emotional body, facilitates links with one's guides and angels, attuning to the heart and things that the heart wants. Well, this is fun. Rhodolite garnet offers emotional healing, particularly in the areas of guilt and shame. Those who are wounded in these ways may find that rhodolite lightens and lifts the burdens of such memories. And it also helps, right, again, walking the spiritual path, kind of grounding oneself a bit, connecting to higher planes, dealing with emotional issues, all that kind of stuff. So it's a deep red, right? Unlike carnelian that's all fiery red, this is a deep red, more contemplative, more rich, more, I guess, aged and wizened. So it's a very good stone to combine with rose gold, right? Especially for me, because historically, you know, I've had issues with, I guess, body image and other things like that. So this actually, if I were to charm this, could be a really good ring for confidence, empowerment, self-love, and just general peace of mind. Understanding that this body isn't really the most important part about me in the first place. But when you know a little something about stones and you do your research into ones that match you, or you kind of take into consideration the ones you use a lot, and then also you know what kind of metal you want, you can have the basis for a really, really powerful piece of jewelry that every time you wear it helps you kind of sink deeper into the effects of whatever spell you cast. So versus a normal ritual spell, these are the ultimate enchantment tools, and not a single person is ever going to look at you sideways for having a ring on or for having a necklace on or anything else. It is entirely possible to do some really good broom closet magic with jewelry that you already have. And that's the thing. There is not a single place where you cannot do magic if you are crafty enough. And when it comes to enchanting them, I mean, again, you don't even need like a ton of stuff around it. I've enchanted things, right, with my own crystal grid, you know, burning certain spices, doing certain prayers, speaking psalms over them, right? There's no one way to enchant them, but even if you just took it in your hands and really infused it with your power, said your prayers to whatever deities you have or spirit guides you have, and just really imagined your intention and your power sinking into that metal, soaking in like a good polish, then like, bang, congrats, you've got an enchanted ring or locket or anything else you can think of, and no one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. if y'all want, I can do a demo of me enchanting something like this ring or something else. If you guys want to see that, let me know. Otherwise, it really, I mean, whatever will help you visualize what you want the ring to do, that's how you have to do the ritual. If you want self-love and self-care and all that, and you get yourself some nice rose gold and garnet, by all means, you know, kind of have it maybe sitting beside you while you do your self-care routine, and kind of infuse it with all that energy that goes into it. Maybe set it up in the middle of like a nice meal for yourself, right? Whatever you want, whatever helps you connect to that idea, that's what you gotta do. So with all that said, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time for another mess of a book review. Keep an eye out for that one, but see you guys.